Hello. Yes, checking sound levels. Sound levels look okay. Hello, welcome. Hi, good evening or good morning. I don't know where you are. Oh, it's you, David. Hello, David. How are you doing? So, yes, we're back. We weren't here on Tuesday because I was doing twitch.tv/Visual Studio. I did a whole thing about gRPC and WCF and all that sort of stuff. And I prepped like 3 or 4, because it was a 1-hour thing, and I prepped 3 or 4 demos and I had time to do one. So hopefully they're going to let me go back and do a deeper dive or something. So yeah. So I've been thinking about Overblaze. I mean, one thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, I need a new name for this, because that's terrible. But apart from that, I am thinking about how it's packaged and everything, and it runs at the moment, and all this sort of stuff. And it runs as a server process and then launches an instance of the browser. And I wanted to look at ways of wrapping it up into a desktop application. And I thought there's a few things. Thank you for following our Heckart. That should be 200 followers. Is that? Yes! 200 followers on Twitch. Yay! Fantastic. Thank you, R Heckart. Reckart. It's so complicated knowing how to pronounce people's Twitch handles. But yes, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so it would be nice if whatever this thing is, whatever it ends up getting called, suggestions in the chat, very welcome, was actually kind of like an application that launched and stuff. And so I was looking at ways of doing that, because it still needs to have an application, it still needs to have a local host so that the browser overlay works in OBS or whatever other thing you're looking at using. And so I was looking at ways you could do that. And if I wanted to just bundle it up as a Windows application, it would be fairly straightforward. You can create a .NET 5 or .NET 6 WPF or Windows Forms application. You can stick Webview inside it, and then launch the thing, and it's off and running. But I want this to be cross-platform, because I want people to be able to use it on Mac, and I know some people stream from Linux when they're doing sort of Rust streaming and all this sort of stuff. So I want something cross-platform. So then I looked at platform.uno, which looks really cool, but also just scares the hell out of me because it's really complicated. And then I remembered a while ago that Steve Sanderson, who invented Blazor and is the sort of the god of Blazor, he created something called Webwindow, which was a really lightweight and Windows, Mac and Linux host for Blazor applications. And that was literally just a window around a WebKit browser or a Chromium browser or whatever, and it was super light. And so I went to look at that, and he is no longer maintaining that because Microsoft are doing stuff with Maui and whatever else, which at present doesn't support Linux. So boo. Hey Khalid, thanks for dropping in. How's it going? But it turns out Webwindow has been forked and turned into, I called it Fotini on Twitter. It's not, it's Fotino. I'm very well, thank you. I read a thing on Twitter a while ago about a guy who broke his brain from coding too much, and so I thought, that sounds good, I'm going to try and do that. But apart from that, I'm cool. So yes, this is what web window became, and it's got like a .io domain and stuff, and it's not Blazor specific. It works with Angular and Vue and React and probably Svelte and all those things, but it does work with Blazor. And so I started looking at this, and if you go and visit them on GitHub, they've got this sample section here, and there were two things in here that caught my attention. So this is a sample photino.hello.photino.blazor, and so this has just got a program and components desktop.run startup, and seems to have a www root index like that, and then there's a, so you've got index.html and all that sort of stuff is in there. And also in the samples repository is this. So this is a Photino app, which is basically just what's in assets there, bunch of stuff. So index.html, and this is your standard HTML page. This is using Vue apparently, so vue.createApp, and that's all self-contained in that index thing. But it has also got a Photino API, which is obviously just a standard .NET 5 web application, so that's cool. And then if you look in the app and in the program.cs, it's got this thing where it says, while it's starting up, API args like this, and then it calls API, so it goes off and it creates the host builder, and then it runs the host. And so this looks like it's running the host in the same process as web window. I should really delete that tab there. And so the thing that I'm going to try in a very, very basic way is it possible to run essentially two Blazor processes in the same process inside this thing, and have one of them exposed as an API, which will be the one that that provides the overlay for OBS, and the other is going to be the dashboard. And so split the Blazor app that I've got at the moment into two different things. Anyway, that's what I'm going to try. But before I do that, I have to do this, because hosting two ASP.NET Core apps in one host. Yeah, hey. So I think what you're telling me here is that it should work. That fills me, yes, that fills me with hope. And now, because you sent me that link, it's your fault if it doesn't. But David very kindly sent me a pull request on Overblaze to turn on and off the OBS source when the application starts and ends. And so I am going to merge this pull request. I'm just going to approve that thing there because I can do that. And then I'm going to merge the pull request and confirm the merge. And then I'm going to go down to here. Nope. See, this is the problem. When everything's in dark mode, it's very hard to find things. And we'll do a quick Git Pull. And then we can just take a quick look at what's happened in here. So the change there, is this toggle OBS source. And so we've got something that we're on application started, we register a callback to toggle OBS source true, which turns it on. And I'm still big. Thank you, David. And then on application stopping, it turns it off again. And then down here, we've got the OBS WebSocket URL and thing there. I'm just going to do one quick change here. So Control RV, OBS WebSocket URL. And OBS WebSocket password, and then just very quickly say if OBS WebSocket URL is null or OBS. Nope. I'm getting confused. C# like new conditional stuff and pattern matching is just throwing me out. Or OBS WebSocket password is null. Actually, no, we'll just do it on the WebSocket URL because it is possible to not set a password. Then we're just going to return. Okay, so that's cool. Fun, fun, fun. Now, back to Photino. So this is get started with Photino for .NET. So it's got install the .NET templates. So .NET new -i. So this is installing templates for Photino into the .NET command line. So that's going to give us some templates. And so if I do .NET new Photino Blazor, .NET new Photino Blazor -- help. Doesn't seem to be any, no additional parameters on top of that there. So we'll just do .NET new, hang on. So we've only got Overblaze in there at the moment. So we'll do .NET new -- out src / Overblaze desktop. And then .NET SLN add src / do. So that's added that in there. So we should now, let's close everything over here. Close all tabs. And then in here, so yeah, we've basically got this code here. And we'll just change this to Overblaze like that. And do that like that. And let's see what happens when we run that. It's downloading and installing the Microsoft Edge View runtime. That's what it's doing. Come on, get on with it. All right, let's give that another try now that the runtime's installed. And there we go. We have the app is running happily inside a normal window. Okay, so that's step one. That works. We can do that. I know, right? How easy was that? That's like .NET New, install the Webview thing. I need to install the Webview SDK actually. But so if you missed at the start, this was, I've just created a Photino app. And Photino is a fork of the web window thing that Steve Sanderson did ages ago. I think he did it in 2019. It's like 18 months ago now. But it got forked and it's been picked up, and it's actually by the people at Code magazine, capital Code magazine, and the community. And yeah, it's a whole thing that they've got. So it's like Electron, but it's much, much lighter than Electron, and it's a .NET process, and so it will actually run Blazor in the same process as the application. What we are attempting now is to see whether it will run two Blazors in the same process, and the theory is that it should. So we are going to add, so we're going to change this back to, well, let's first of all see what happens if I change the target for this to net 6 and see whether that still works. I can't see any reason why it shouldn't. Seems to be including the Razor SDK for reasons that I don't really understand, but whatever. So let's run that. Yep, that appears to still work. So that's good. So then we can add a reference in here to Overblaze. Okay. And then so I'm gonna keep a copy of this down here, but I'm gonna put it up on my top screen as well so that I can actually do it. But yes, no, Webview 2. Webview is a control that's been in Windows for years and years and years and years. And it's part of Win32, and you could use it in WPF and everything. And it's an Internet Explorer window that runs inside your browser. Fantastic story about that, I think, or related anyway. I'll come back to it in a minute. But Webview 2 is the new one that's based on the new Chromium-based Edge. And so everything works, everything's up to date. It's super wow. Thanks, Khalid, for sticking links into the chat. You are helping me out. Brilliant. But yes, so Webview 2 is nice for sort of Blazor and modern applications and modern JavaScript and all this sort of stuff. Photino is cross-platform, and if you run it on Linux or on Mac, it will use a WebKit-based control that does the same thing. And you basically do 3 builds. So you can do a Linux build and a Mac build and a Windows build. And that it's much smaller than Electron and theoretically uses less memory than Electron, although I think at the moment it uses a bit more memory than Electron on Windows, but not like ridiculous huge amounts or anything. So we have got to do this thing here. Use create host build to do that. So we're going to go in, and that is in the program. Okay, that's weird. Why is it called hellofotino.blazor.cs? They haven't figured out how to change that. I'm just going to rename this to Overblaze Desktop. That's better. And then in here, Webview 2 does indeed work on Windows 7. I don't know why it does, but it does. Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1 and 10. So we are going to well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a debug dot write line done, and we're going to set a breakpoint on that, and then we are going to edit configurations. Overblaze desktop, and we're going to run this. Okay, so that's run like that, and then when I exit this, then okay, so that blocks. That's good. We want that to block. That makes me happy. And so then in here we can say string API args equals. Actually, do we need to? No, we don't, because it's hard coded at the moment. So we're going to say using var API equals overblaze dot program dot create host builder array dot empty string. Let's just grab that into a variable. And then API.start async like that. And then that's it basically. So this should run the desktop app in its little window, yay, and then it should. There's a lot of shoulds here. My therapist says I shouldn't be saying should. It's like, you should, not should. Yeah. Oh, the thing with web views. So, once upon a time, I was working at a big bank, and it was a fantastic place to work. Really, really smart people, really interesting stuff to do. I really enjoyed it. I would love to work at that bank again. but contracting. So, you know, but if they ever kind of go, hey, Mark, do you want to come and do some more stuff? I will definitely say yes. I'm not going to tell you which one it is, though, but they're awesome. Hey, Eagle, how's it going? Yes, we are doing desktop. We're doing desktop with Photino. And so far, it's gone surprisingly well. But I'm building suspense as to whether the thing I'm about to do is going to work by telling a story about using a Webview. So big WPF application, big WPF trading application. And one of the things that was included in the application was a clock. I don't know particularly why they wanted a clock, but it was a clock that did seconds. And it was sort of embedded in the top corner of the thing. And you can't do a clock in WPF because, or not a clock that will reliably tick every single second. You just can't do it. WPF doesn't support the things that you want it to support that will let it do that. And people tried all sorts of things to get this clock to work that would just sit in the window, because the traders apparently were kind of like, as soon as that ticks over to 10:14:00, then I'm pressing the sell button. It's like down to the second things, because they think they're bots in dark pools. And yet nobody could do anything to get a functioning clock working in WPF until somebody got, it was actually a V8 Chromium based control that you could use in WPF, and it embedded Chromium browser, whatever that thing's called, and just wrote the clock in JavaScript, and just had this tiny little chunk of HTML with this tiny little bit of JavaScript that just did a set interval and ticked the time. And so, yeah, WPF, absolutely no chance at all. But this tiny little browser, and I mean just the size of the time, but this tiny little browser sitting there, eating God knows how much memory, obviously, but it was completely able to just go tick, 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 tick. So there you go. There's a tip if you're ever trying to get a functioning clock in WPF, or probably UWP or WinUI or any of these things, and it won't tick reliably, then yeah, HTML and CSS and JavaScript, it just works. Which is why we're not doing any in this. Okay, so is this going to start? Oh my God. So here is Photino with the sort of boilerplate Blazor desktop app, and here is the dashboard running perfectly well, and launching a browser. And both of these things are running in a single process, I think. So, well, whatever it's doing, anyway, it's all sort of hiding under that overblaze desktop. It appears to have created 6 Webview 2s. That seems like a lot of Webview 2s. Why is it doing that? Anyway, but no, it's working. And then it does that, and then it stops. All right. Okay. Photino. Where's my thing? Where's my browser? Help. Photino. Lighter than light. So a photino is a theoretical particle. They haven't actually proved it exists. But, because, yeah, if you... a hypothetical subatomic particle, the Fermion WIMP superpartner of the photon predicted by supersymmetry. Supersymmetry, almost certainly wrong, though. So, because the Large Hadron Collider was supposed to bang up a bunch of the symmetrical superpartners of the particles that we know about, and it didn't. It didn't find any, and there's no reason why it shouldn't have found them. And so supersymmetry is not looking good. But it's nice that there was a hypothetical particle. I'm not sure how, because I think if it was like a thing that's lighter than an electron, which is super clever, by the way, and I like that. Lightweight open source framework. So if it was lighter than an electron, then that would be a cool name. But if instead it's a hypothetical superparticle that has not actually been demonstrated to exist in... I'm just going to check their GitHub and see what the contributions look like. Hang on, it's here, isn't it? Try-Photino. 13 days ago, they've updated the website. Photino.native was updated 14 days ago. Yeah, no, it looks like people are working on this. And anyway, for my purposes, it looks like it's working. So let's jump back over to here and have a look at what we've got. So we've got app.razor here. And I'm not about to move a file. Oh, God. So not using Maui Blazor Desktop from MS. No, because Maui Blazor Desktop from MS does not support Linux. And if your host builder is using environment variables, a person could break your app if they have environmental settings that conflict with yours, thinking ASP.NET Core URLs and posts. Yes, that is an excellent point. One of the things that's going to come out of this, so at the moment, Overblaze actually runs on a hard-coded port, 25293. It's the letters BLAZE on a standard telephone pad. That's where I got that from, which won't make any sense at all once this has been renamed to something that's not Overblaze. But anyway, but yeah, that is something that I will be looking out for and making sure that I'm sort of passing things through. One of the nice things about this is that I'm going to be able to build a settings section into the desktop application, which will then be able to kind of go, all right, we're going to save those somewhere, and then they can be loaded from somewhere internally. But anyway, let's start taking things out of here and putting them across into here. So shared. See, this thing, it's really nice that IDE say, oh, you're about to move this file. But when you're in File Explorer, it doesn't. It just moves it. You can sort of click something and drag it, and it just moves. And my aunt, my uncle phoned me up the other day, and they'd lost an entire directory out of Dropbox and no idea where it had gone, and hadn't looked at the directory because it was to do with sort of non-lockdown stuff, and so they hadn't looked at it since middle of last year or something. And yeah, there'd been hundreds and hundreds, like 500 documents to do with something quite important. My aunt does timekeeping at athletics events, and she thought she'd lost all these documents, and I was onto Dropbox support on Twitter going, ugh, and they're going, well, if it's more than 30 days ago, there's nothing we can do about it. And then I thought, just desperate last thing, I said, if you can think of the name of any document that you know was in there, or you can find it from your Dropbox events, just in Windows Explorer, File Explorer, just do a search and see if you can find it. And the entire directory had been moved into the directory next to it. And obviously it had just been a thing of sort of click and accidentally drag and bang, an entire directory moves, which Dropbox doesn't register as a move, it registers as you deleted a bunch of files and then you added a bunch of files. But yes, right. Anyway, shut up, Mark. We're doing this. So, my page is over here. Thought Blazor Desktop would support Mac, Linux, Windows. So, as it stands at the moment, my understanding, .NET MAUI has no... There is no announced plan to support Linux. So it supports Mac, it supports Windows, it supports iOS and Android. I feel like there's more. Are there more? But no. MAUI Blazor Desktop. What's this here? Linux support in .NET MAUI. So yeah, open source. So there's an open source contrib to Xamarin that lets Xamarin Forms support .NET MAUI. But it's not first party. And the thing is, I'm liking sort of using Blazor to build both these things, and having Blazor for the sort of control thing and Blazor for the overlay thing. It reduces the number of technologies that you've got in flight. It just means that they're sort of in the same places. And so so I like having MAUI. MAUI gives you WinUI, it gives you all the XAML, it's a full-blown thing. And so when you create a cross-platform application using MAUI and WinUI, you are creating sort of native controls on all these different platforms, and that's like super scary. With a Blazor app, because it's a web view, there may be very slight cosmetic differences in the way things are rendered and fonts and stuff between different platforms, but for the most part, it's going to be consistent, and it's going to be a lot lighter because I don't need all that runtime stuff. It's basically just here's an executable wrapper around either Webview 2 or the WebKit browser or the GTK browser, whatever they're using on Linux, and so it's going to be super light, and that's what I want, something that sort of just starts up super quick. So anyway, I am going to grab my dashboard page from here, and I am going to go over to here, and in my index page, oh, so that's where that's coming from. So window.setIconFile blazor.ico, which is here, and logo.ico. So what I need is a lovely ico file that'll sit in there. Oh, look, that's interesting. We've got framework : / Blazor desktop. So that's obviously being served out of the framework somewhere. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is from my dashboard.razor up here, I'm going to grab my HTML. close tabs to the left, and then in index.razor, I'm going to close tabs to the right. That's one thing I really like in Rider, is close tabs to the left, close tabs to the right. Visual Studio just doesn't have this at all. And then down in the code, down at the bottom here, we've got this. And so I'm going to put that down here. And I'm going to take that out of there like that. And then here in startup, I'm going to say services.add singleton image store. And sound store. And let's go back to here. Okay. And then image click is going to do something entirely different now. So we don't want that anymore. Okay. Let's see. Oh, hang on. So dashboard is doing this. What else have we got in here? So main layout.razor now looks like this. And if I go to my desktop app here and go to shared and main layout.razor, and we really just want that. And I'm just going to take that out of there, like that. Let's see what this does. There we go. Ha-ha! Makes sense. The Blazor desktop I've seen does have some cool tricks up their sleeves, like running full .NET Core. Oh, why are you attempting to reconnect to the server now? That seems bad. Task manager, processes. I closed the window. So yeah. So let's just turn the Overblaze overlay on at No, I didn't close the window. It crashed. So why is it crashing? Nope, it's definitely crashing. can I find out why it's crashing? In Rider, you can change the halt on exception settings. Let's try that. It appears to just be dying. Which is quite disturbing. What's the debug output? Loaded a bunch of stuff. PDB file for assembly was not found. Yeah, those look like transient errors. PDB files doing what PDB files do. I could put a try catch, but I feel like this is just conking right out. Let's try that. So let's go here and do set a breakpoint here, and we'll just do this. Yeah, no, it's dying with prejudice. It's just going, goodbye, cruel world, and just topping itself. But to be fair, I did very naughtily change the runtime, change the .NET version that it's using. No, stop. Yeah, no, see, you're not going to work because I've changed it. And now I'm going to change you back to .NET 5. And then we're going to build this. And then we're going to run this. And we'll run it as a .NET 5 app, and we'll see if that works. Okay, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Okay, that's not good. That literally stopped the entire desktop from responding to my thing. So let's go into src / overblaze desktop. We'll do .NET new global JSON, and then we'll do code global.json, and we're just going to change this to allow pre-release false. And then if I do .NET version, that becomes 502. And then we can cd into src overlays desktop. Let's do .NET run here. Nope, it's died again. It was going so well. Right. Event viewer, that's a good idea. What have you done to my application, Nile? Wow, everybody's here. This is awesome. Windows logs, application services logs, application error. Faulting module name core CLR 5 point whatever it is. Faulting, so yeah, no, it's doing terrible things. We've got a .NET runtime error here. Which appears to be unrelated. But here we've got an application error, core CLR, so that's core CLR, that's kernel base, that's kernel base. Except that was WER fault for whatever reason. Details. All right, so going the so I'm going to take that line and that line and that line out. And I'm just going to run this. And it's done it again. That froze everything on the desktop. refresh. You are hitting a status stack overflow. The problem is in your application code. You are calling something recursively with no exit criteria. Luckily, the system has created a dump for you. Right. So I'm just doing the thing that I do, which is basically to take things out. Permissions thing? Shouldn't be a permissions thing. Okay, so this seems to make it stable. Okay, so that's good. So it's something to do with one of those three calls. Stack Overflow is good. Yeah, been a while. What have I done that's causing a Stack Overflow exception? So it's, the thing is, it was doing that. There was something where you're supposed to do this. If you're calling status change from an async method, you're supposed to do this await invoke async. I wonder if that could be it. I have a nav many bit. Start rendering the view once the uninitialized async has started. Marcus voice programmer, would the state has changed cause it to re-render over and over? Yes, potentially. Override on initialized async. Does that. Override on initialized. and then we can just take this out. But yes, that is possible. Ah, yes, so there is. But it should, because I was doing other things in the after render. This now should work up here. Let's see what this does. So I did that on initialized, and I didn't need to do the invoke async state as changed. It was just fine with that. Okay, I think that's good. So, and if I turn overlays on in here and refresh and tap my boom button, dish not working. Let's just open you up, go to localhost. Oh, just stop. Right. So then we can bring those back in there like that. I'm just going to go into here. I'm going to take out the thing in here that starts the browser, because I don't want that anymore. And then we can run this again. Yeah, it wasn't starting the browser application. So now it is starting the browser application. And so now if I refresh Overblaze and hit Perry, yeah, boom. Ha. And that is now working, and that is not crashing. Wow, thanks everybody. That was a proper Twitch team effort there. That was awesome. Thank you. I really like that. That was everybody just getting stuff working together. Right. Yeah, we did fantastic, and I haven't set the WebSocket URL thing in there. But I'll move that code probably into the desktop application rather than having it running in the Overblaze application itself. So now in the desktop application, so we've got this index.razor thing here. I am going to create, I don't want to move folders. Stop saying I'm moving folders. I blame this mouse. I'm going to treat myself to a shiny new mouse. But yes, because I'm working on something that's actually running on my in my overlay thing, then you see the Blazor attempting to reload itself. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? That's what we're doing. So now, in index on the desktop thing, it was using control bus to show and hide stuff, but what it actually wants is to go add a new class, and we're going to add server client. Oh, God damn it. Right. Shared main layout. There we go. So yeah, we've got a thing here, and we're going to have an HTTP client underscore client, and we're going to initialize that field from the constructor, and then we're going to have a public async task show image string name. And we are going to say await underscore client dot get async slash images slash and it wasn't, it was show. You can change the styling of attempting to reload. Yes, I can, and I really should. But how can I do that? Because what would be really nice is it in here to do shared. Not in there. Because yeah, for the purposes of streaming this, it would be quite fun if it just went bork, bork, bork. Epson will scan your PC. No, just disable automatic. If you're going to do that every day, got a new printer. I've got one of those tank printers because my big HP A3 printer, which the only A3 stuff I've ever printed is the posters that are behind me on the wall. And it came time to buy new ink. And obviously with the shortages and all this sort of stuff, the only ink that was available for it. Cheers, Khalid. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for all your help. Yeah, and drop in again back on Tuesday next week. So I'll see you next time, mate. Have a good one. And Des, you off as well? Or are you waving goodbye to Kelly? I don't know. I watch people on Twitch and they seem to be completely on top of the chat and how it's working and everything, and I'm just kind of although actually I haven't got the audible notifications on now, and I am still managing to keep up with the fact that people are talking to me. So it's obviously I'm old. I'm 30 years old in hexadecimal. So yeah, I will figure out. Hey, It's a good age. I started counting my age in hexadecimal when I hit 40. So my 40th birthday cake, which my wife, who is awesome, made for me, and which means only 30 in hexadecimal. So 30. I'm 0x30. But yes, my 40th birthday cake said I was 28, which would have worked really well and made me feel much better about everything. But sadly, my 40th birthday cake also set off the smoke alarms, because it may have said 28, but it had 40 candles on it. No, chess streamers. Don't even get me started on chess streamers. Yeah, watching people on Fritz or whatever, and they're sort of talking 2D years old. See, you're a young, still got a couple of years to go before you hit the big 0x30. Right, server client, doing this here, so that's going to fire things across, and then in startup here, we can say services.add HTTP client server client. And we can say client.base address equals h new URI http ://localhost 25293, I think it was. Okay, so that gives us a server client in there like that, and then in index.razor we can inject server client and then down here we can say await server client dot show image name, and here we can say await server client dot play sound name, and then we can run this again. I think it might need that invoke async thing on there. Do you happen to know if it is possible to leverage the WASM features of this framework for other purposes, like out of the context of a Razor application? I'm now compiling TypeScript to WASM, but C# would be much nicer. I don't know that, I'm afraid. I suspect that as Microsoft make progress, so let's get rid of that, and that, and that, and run this again. It's kind of funny out here on the edge. So yeah, So now the Blazor app's just not loading. The overlay's back to working, but the dashboard is not loading anymore. Anything coming through in debug output? No. Right, what have you changed, Mark? Literally got rid of everything from there. Right. Nuke from orbit. Yep. And then we can go to here and do .NET restore all over again. And then we can jump back to here and we can try running this again, because it may be because I changed the namespace and that's quite a big refactoring of these things, and I don't know how this is actually working. But no, that doesn't appear to be it. Let's turn off the overlay. No, so sorry, WASM. Platform.uno might be worth looking at, GenXDev, because Platform.uno is actually compiling like Xamarin Forms, essentially, or WinUI to WASM. So that's not Blazor or Razor or any kind of web thing or whatever. That is Platform.uno. If you don't know what it is, it's lets you use UWP and now WinUI and that sort of stuff to build completely cross-platform applications. So Linux, Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, all the different things. And they have a target for WebAssembly, and it actually compiles XAML and C# to WebAssembly, and it runs in browsers or in Electron or whatever. So it might be worth looking at them and what they're doing and how they're doing that to see what's going on. Hi, Spooky Coder. We are currently trying to work out why my programs just stopped blooming working. I can probably get rid of Perivisible. On that run. It's not having it, is it? It's not having it at all. Inspect. But you can bring up the dev tools for Webview. Failed to load resource. Well, that's not an issue, is it? Because we don't want favicon.ico. That's not going to stop the thing from running. It was working! And now it's just randomly stopped working again. And I mean, it's not crashing or anything, it's just not playing nicely. Let's try taking all that stuff out. It's not having it. It is just not having it at all. No, see, there's no reason why that would not be working, because that just... Let's try stop. But no, it's not working if I run it from here either. Try doing a release build quickly and see what happens if we do this. .NET run -c release -- no build. Hang on. Nope, nothing to do with that. Let's try taking that out completely. How can it just have stopped working? What's changed? What's moved? What's happened to stop it from working? No, I'm not. I'll try changing this back to 6 and see if that makes any difference. And then we can change this back to 6 as well and see if that makes any difference. And then we can get rid of that and see if that works. Advanced build actions, rebuild selected projects. No. Where's that coming from? I'm stuck. I'm going to get rid of this again, see what happens if I get rid of that. Nope. Da, 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 da. If I set a breakpoint on that, no, not that. Oh, because that happens here. That's where it's setting that thing there. Why Okay, so this works. But this doesn't. Is it the main HTML file in the www root? So this, I mean, this is here. And then it's got this framework Blazor desktop.js. And in here we've got, so no, it's essentially, that's exactly the same. Program versus program. This is essentially the same as everything was in there, except we've got this wrapped in a try catch. Okay. So inspect. Console's not showing anything. Sources, we've got Blazor desktop, which has downloaded. We can pretty print it. So that's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But yeah, this apparently is just, because that's the dev tools for that. I'm going to shut that down and go to here and do .NET Run and inspect. So this is the completely empty app. And then if we press Control R in here, that's interesting. So that's got all the stuff that's gone into there. But if I do a Control R, hey, Scarce Moose. have you got any idea why these things don't work? Because yeah, when I press Control R with the console open on this, it doesn't work either. So there's my empty app. If I press Control R, it doesn't work when I refresh it, and I'm wondering what that might have to do with it. My fav icon does throw an error, but that shouldn't be an issue because my fav icon throws an error at this point. So if I go to the developer tools here, you see fav icon threw an error the last time through and it can't load the source map for bootstrap.min.css.map. And that's all fine. That shouldn't be causing a problem. What does cause a problem is doing a refresh. So, issues. No, try Photino.blazor issues. Should Photino Oh, good Lord. We have a lot of work in the native and .NET areas of Photino, not top of our priority list. Took a product designed to create Blazor coded electron. Without Blazor, yes, don't drop Blazor. But do make it work. Refresh. It's just, this is Photino, so this is not this isn't actually using DNS. This is a hard-coded link between the Webview component and the .NET process. So it's not going over DNS or anything like that at all. So we look at sources. Blazor desktop JS and Bootstrap and whatever else, and network. We got that and that. But if you refresh, it doesn't load. Which may just be a thing, maybe it's not supposed to. Let's try just doing Photino app. .NET new Photino app. So dynamically inserted JavaScript, call.net, received message hi.net, refresh. Okay, so it's fine with that. And it is, I mean, because it's fine loading the thing. Do you use Photino 1.1.1 or greater? Manage NuGet packages. Yeah, I'm on 1.1.1 of Photino.blazor. Photino.native 1.1.1. That's the latest version of that. That's the latest version. I'm on the latest version of all the things. But yeah, no, Blazor is web-based, but that shouldn't be an issue in here because it's using Webview, and Webview should be working with this. And it's 9:15 and I've got to stop because I've got to go and spend some time with my family and read to my kids and do all that sort of good stuff. So I'm going to knock this on the head for today. Maybe open an issue on the Photino website and go, why? And yeah, we will come back to this where caching was disabled and prevented a clean refresh. See, I think if we go to network here, if I say disable cache and then hit Control R, nope. I don't know how to window title host HTML path. Yeah, what I don't understand is it was working, but now it's not working, and I don't know how to clear the web view to cache for this thing. Each instance of a Webview 2 control is associated to a user data folder. Application. Clear site data. Refresh. No, it's just stopped working. It's just stopped working. It does not work anymore. This does not make me happy. Right, fine. I'm going to knock this on the head for today, and just despair. And then I might take a look at this with fresh, less tired eyes tomorrow or over the weekend. So yeah, if you want to find out what happens, then join me back here on Tuesday next week, when I will be going Fotino, and rewriting the whole thing using Maui or something, I don't know. Ooh, Avalonia. That's cross-platform. So yes. Anyway, thanks everyone for dropping by. Thank you for all your suggestions and support and help getting things working and then breaking again and then not working again and stuff, and I just don't know. So back here, same time, 7 o'clock UK time, 6 PM UTC on Tuesday next week, doing more of this stuff. All right, cheers everyone, and see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye.